Shut up and sit down.
What is the story, Internet? Hope everyone is keeping well, staying safe and staying out of trouble. It's been a long time, hasn't it? I do apologise for my absence this week. I unfortunately was not well, and there's nothing worse than trying to record with a sore throat. So I took a few days off, but I have returned back to 100% hopefully. So yeah, should be good to go. So I've missed a lot of football. There wasn't too much exciting that happened during the week. I did want to highlight the fact that Arsenal drew 0-0 with Crystal Palace. And I also wanted to highlight Manchester United's 1-0 win against Burnley, which took them to the top of the table. So I just want to go through a couple of the matches that have happened throughout the other European leagues, because there's been some big matches this week. Then go through the weekend's Premier League football, and then I'm going to highlight there is one Premier League match tomorrow, so I'm going to highlight that. And then I will be back with you tomorrow to highlight the upcoming week's football, because there is some Premier League football this week. So the first one I wanted to touch on in the Liga NOS in Portugal. There was Porto versus Benfica. They drew 1-1, and sounded like a highly entertaining match. Quite a big rivalry in the Portuguese league. Usual had a red card, usual derby match. But it was a missed opportunity for both of them, because if you look at the table, both of them are currently sitting on 32 points, where Sporting Lisbon is sat on 36. If either of them had won, it would have taken them within 1 point of Sporting Lisbon, because they drew with Rio Ave. So it's a very missed opportunity for either team, because it would have given them the opportunity to close that gap and catch up with the team in first. So yeah, both teams will be feeling a little bit hard done by. The only solace they can take is that they stopped the other team from from being in a better position than them, since they were both on level on points. Next one I wanted to discuss was the Supercopa de España, the Spanish Super Cup. It was Athletic Bilbao versus Barcelona. It was level at full time, so it had to go into extra time and threatened penalties. Inaki Williams scored in the 93rd minute, so that cut off the extra time, so that was 3-2. And then in the 121st minute, Lionel Messi got his first red card of not only his Barcelona career, but his career in general. It looks like he might have thrown a punch at one of the Bilbao players. So don't know if that's frustration from what's been happening with Barcelona and his potential move to City, if that was his frustration from the rest of the match, because they were 1-0 up, then it was 1-1, then they were 2-1 up, then it was 2-2 in the 90th minute, so maybe the frustration just got the better of him, a la Zidane in the 2006 World Cup final. Only he will know, but I think this is a sign that his time at Barcelona might be coming to an end. It's just a shame it had to end bitterly, but that's what happens when you don't let players do what they want. They're not mercenaries, they have their own feelings. So yeah, quite an interesting result coming out of the Spanish Super Cup. And then moving into the Serie A, we've had some interesting results. So Lazio beat Roma 3-0. Big match in the Italian capital there. But the bigger match, and this has a lot of ramifications for the match tomorrow, which is Cagliari versus AC Milan. It was Inter Milan versus Juventus. So Inter Milan won 2-0. So this puts them level on points with AC Milan. It keeps Juventus in fifth on 33 points. Both AC and Inter have 40 points. So depending on what happens with AC Milan tomorrow, they could be level on points. They could get a point, or they could get the extra 3 points. But it keeps Inter very close in the runnings. It means that a lot of the leagues around Europe are very contentious at the moment. Another one I just wanted to point out was Napoli absolutely battering Fiorentina 6-0. Fiorentina just are not doing very well this season. They haven't done well since they had that spell a couple of years ago. And then just one quick one I wanted to mention in the Bundesliga. So Bayern survived a scare to Freiburg. They won 2-1. Dortmund drew 1-1 with Mainz. And then Union Berlin, who have just come out of nowhere this season, beat Leverkusen 1-0. So that makes it very interesting in the Bundesliga. Bayern are still top by 4 points, then Leipzig, then Leverkusen on 29, Dortmund on 29, Union Berlin on 28, and then Wolfsburg on 26, level with Frankfurt, who's on 26 as well. So the top 4 leagues in Europe are very, very interesting at the moment. I'm pretty sure the same is said for the La Liga. It's not as close. Atletico and Real Madrid are at top, 41 and 47 points. Atletico do have 2 games in hand though, so even if they get draws from that, it'll still raise them up the table. So, but the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Serie A are looking very interesting this season. So, speaking of the Premier League, let's jump into the weekend's fixtures. So, we did have one that was scratched from the record. It was Aston Villa's match. I'm not sure who they were playing, but it was a match that was postponed. So again, I think it's a result of the ongoing battle with COVID. Let me just see if I can figure out who's missing from these fixtures. Oh, I thought I had it then. I thought it was Spurs. It looks like it's Everton. Everton's the team that's missing here. So I think it was Aston Villa versus Everton. Just a shame because that could have been a very interesting match. But anyway, West Brom beat Wolves. That is a big result because Wolves they've been hot and cold, but the last couple of weeks they've been on a bit of a tear. And it's also surprising because West Brom have not been the best. I mean, they're in 19th. So, yeah, fair play to West Brom. The stats were in Wolves' favour, 68% to 38% possession, 23 shots to 12, 6 on target to 5. But as I've said, the statistics don't mean everything. The most important statistic at the end of the day is the scoreline. So yeah, fair play to West Brom. Another honourable mention I just want to give, and I'm going to talk about their match out of order, but Sheffield United lost 3-1 to Spurs. But last week they got their first win of the season in the league, and then they won in the FA Cup as well. So it was always going to be tough against Spurs, especially the way that they've been playing recently. But fair play to them. I mean, they've been putting up a fight, and they haven't just been lying down and just taking it. They've been putting in a shift, and results will come. They just need to have faith and hope that they don't come too late. Because they are still only on 5 points, so a lot of this is out of their hands as to whether they stay up or not. So only time will tell, but fair play to them. I know they lost today, but they've won 2 matches back-to-back for the first time in a long time, so fair play to them. West Ham won, Burnley 0. It was always going to be a tough match for Burnley. West Ham have been quite a good outfit this season. So yeah, it sounds like a relatively even match, even on possession. Very close in shots, 15 to West Ham, 10 for Burnley. 4 on target for West Ham, 2 on target for Burnley. So fair play, thanks to Michael Antonio. The West Ham come out the winners. And it sees them stay in the top half of the table as they are in 9th. Level on points with Southampton and Chelsea, just behind on goal difference. Next one, Brighton 1, Leeds United 0. Leeds have lost their last 3 matches. Don't know where that came from, in all honesty. They were doing so well at the beginning of the season. I don't know if it might be a little bit of what happened to Leicester. Leicester, it took until the following season, the season after they won the league, for teams to start sussing them out. I don't know if Bielsa's tactics might have been sussed out already. It is a couple of years after when Leicester won the league, so technology and statistics and tactics and things like that adapted. They do play a very free-flowing attacking style of football, so if you can soak up that pressure, you can send it right back to them. I'm not saying that that's what Brighton did, but yeah. So even shots and shots on target, 7 and 2. Leeds had 67% to 33% possession. Leeds have dropped into the second half of the table. They're on 23 points. Brighton are still holding firm in 16th. They're still above the drop zone, but only just. So, next one, Fulham 0, Chelsea 1. Kai Havertz and Timo Werner just cannot score to save their lives at the moment. And that's shown by the fact that Chelsea had 21 shots and only 6 of them were on target. Fulham had 10 and 3. That's a bit more respectable than than the 21 and 6. 70% possession to Chelsea, 30 to Fulham. Mason Mount eventually scored. Fulham were always going to have a tough battle after Anthony Robinson was sent off in the 44th minute. Probably changed the half-time talk to more of a soak-up pressure. But still, Chelsea aren't looking good at the minute. I think if it wasn't for the fact that it was a London derby, gives a little bit more to play for. Even though it's not the biggest rivalry in the world, it still means a lot to that part of London. I think it could have very easily been a 0-0 draw. So, Leicester City 2, Southampton 0. Southampton are still their mixed bag self. They went and beat Liverpool earlier in the week, and now they've ended up losing 2-0 to Leicester. No disrespect to Leicester, though. I mean, Leicester are 2 points behind Manchester United. Level on matches, but still. City have a game in hand. They're on 35 points as well as Leicester, so that means that's the only thing that's keeping Leicester in third rather than second, is the game in hand. And the goal difference, but either way. But they're still a point ahead of Liverpool. So fair play to them. Southampton stay in 8th. They are level on points with Chelsea and West Ham, as I mentioned earlier. And they were only 5 points behind Liverpool, 4 points behind Tottenham in 5th. This league table is very close, and I'm going to go through it because this Premier League table is probably the closest I've seen for a long time. Someone brought up the 2008 season, and I think that's a very good analogy. So, on to the big one. It's the one on the board. It's Liverpool versus Manchester United. So, it finished 0-0. Now, this is going to sound incredibly biased. Manchester United played very well today. Defensively, they were very good. But even in an attacking sense, Liverpool had the chances, don't get me wrong. They had 17 shots, only 3 of them on target. But Manchester United's chances just looked so much better. And if it wasn't for Alisson, who had an incredible game, it could easily have been stolen at the death. Paul Pogba had no opportunity. Bruno Fernandes's free kick that curved away from the corner. But a very even match. Not as intense as these rivalries usually are. It was a very sloppy game. Both teams were going at it. You could see they were going for it. First half, Liverpool were all over us. Second half, we were a lot better. But a very, very well fought match. It'd be interesting to see how it is in the cup because there's nowhere to hide there. You can't finish with a draw. Might go to a replay, but eventually there has to be a winner. And looking at Liverpool's upcoming fixtures, they've got some tough fixtures. A lot of away fixtures. Burnley away, Brighton away, West Ham away. Not the biggest of names, but still a lot of away fixtures. Tough fixtures as well. West Ham away especially. But Burnley can shut up shop and Brighton can surprise you as United saw. So Liverpool have to be on their game at the minute. But the team that we have to watch out for, because they've sneaked up out of nowhere, is Manchester City. So I've been watching a lot of Star Wars related things, and Manchester City is sort of like the emperor in the background that no one sees is controlling things, and they've sneaked out of nowhere. Don't want them to come out of nowhere. Don't want them to come out of the shadows and take over. But Manchester City beat Crystal Palace 4-0. It wasn't even close. Possession 73 to 27, 13 shots to 2, 6 on target to 0. So fair play to Manchester City. Crystal Palace are continuing their reputation of just being an up and down team. They just, I don't know what it is. They're so all over the place. They'll go and beat a team like Manchester United 2-0, they'll go and lose to City 4-0. They're literally all over the place. So, but that's the joy of this season. This Premier League season it's akin to Russia 2018, which was the most exciting World Cup I have seen for a long time. And this is just like that, just in the Premier League. This is the most exciting Premier League I've seen for a long time. The race for the title is intense. The race for Europe is crazy. The relegation battle is crazy. Like, the whole table is just immense. It really is. You never know, from one week to another, who's gonna win. So, and that's the way it should be. It gets boring when you can predict it. So, this is probably a bookmaker's nightmare, because people are going in, putting all these crazy bets on, and all of a sudden it comes true. So the one that I wanted to preview for tomorrow is Arsenal against Newcastle. Now, as I mentioned, Arsenal drew 0-0 to Crystal Palace last week, so they will be wanting to get some momentum back. Because they did go on that stretch where they won 3 matches in a row, and then that Crystal Palace one just sort of knocked their momentum a little bit. So we'll have to see what happens against Newcastle. Newcastle, they were the ones that lost to Sheffield United. So no one wants to be the person that allows the bottom of the table to get those 3 points. Although Newcastle does have a history of that happening, because if I remember correctly, when Derby County got the record lowest points on 9, their solitary win came against Newcastle. And if I remember correctly, it was Kenny Miller who scored from the halfway line to give them that victory. So they have a history of being that team. So I think Arsenal will be able to bounce back from this in this match, but it all hinges on if they can bounce back from that knock. Are they able to get up, dust themselves off, and move forward? Only time will tell. So tomorrow, I will be back to review that match, and then also to preview, because there are 5 matches midweek. There's 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, and 2 on Thursday. So in the meantime, as I mentioned, I have returned. Sorry for the longer video today. A lot of football to talk about, a lot to catch up on, because I wasn't here on Thursday. So, but I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I hope you've been staying safe and keeping out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until tomorrow, ta-ra for now.